The most important day of the year is fast approaching. In 2 days, May the 4th be with you. May the cake be with you is what I should say. I have a huge confession to make. I don't know a lot about Star Wars. Okay, so let's start out with BB-8. Oh, I forgot how big the model was. They lent us a BB-8. This was a collab with Disney. I do think he's cute. I really think he's the cutest. Oh my God. My main question is, why was I so willing to embarrass myself on this channel? Obviously, BB-8 is, well, his body is a sphere and his head is like a half sphere. The good news is I have a ton of sphere pans. So I baked him in spheres.
50 Star Wars trivia questions. What do they call the invisible power that binds the galaxy together?
The Force.
There you go.
Yes! I dyed the buttercream orange, which to match the outside. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of rules when you make novelty cakes. So when you're making a cake like this BB-8, you can't really fool around too much with the inside. You need it to be sturdy and structurally sound, but I decided to have fun with the color of the buttercream. This way, when you cut into the cake, you're like, oh, they match, you know? And I always find by the time I get here, I forget what I did inside. Okay, so I build the body as a whole sphere, 2 halves together with that orange buttercream between, and then his head is a half sphere, which I made sure to support on a board. His head moves around, like the ball rolls and his head moves around. So I needed to be able to support his head. I don't think I started using an invention at this point. Nope. Look at that right there. So you'll always get ridges in your buttercream because at the end of the day, the spatula is still straight and the cake is very round. And so if you don't have an invention, which is a square of acetate, then you can chill it, wet your fingers, and sort of smooth out the ridges. I'm getting very mad at this robot toy.
You never get along with any of your co-hosts.
I don't.
Yeah.
The strawberries were nice. Silent, really. Now, this is where the sphere fear comes in. It's easy to cover a half sphere in fondant because the bottom is wider than the top. That's ideal when you're covering something in fondant, or I should say that's the easiest option. But when I'm covering the whole sphere, it gets really tricky because when it's a whole ball, it tapers back in at the bottom and therefore you have a lot of excess fondant to gather and smooth. And because there's a lot, you really have to take your time, otherwise your fondant will just overlap itself and you'll get a lot of creasing, which we don't want. BB-8 is not creased. He's a robot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's very smooth. He's from the future. Everything in the future is smooth.
Actually, Star Wars takes place a long, long time ago.
So we're going backward in time?
Yeah, this will happen.
What?
Yeah.
So what do we do with all the robots? I really don't have time to unpack all of this.
No.
And I've read that so many times and it's never computed. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. See, I'm glad this was a long, long time ago. I want this to remain in my history. They didn't send BB-8 until after I had baked and I was trying to prepare to make this cake. So then they sent, I think, a file of what all those parts of him looked like. But I had no concept of the size they needed to be for the, you know what I'm trying to say? I love metallic, okay? Like I love luster, but the problem is when you're using luster on just parts of a cake, it goes everywhere. So you have to be very careful to paint the parts separately, wash your hands well before you're putting it on the cake because that dust will go everywhere and then it's extremely hard to remove.
Who built C-3PO?
R2-D2. No. Chewbacca. No. Yoda. No. The stormtroopers, they all got together and had a C-3PO building party.
It was Darth Vader. So let me ask you, what was Darth Vader's real name?
Something Skywalker. Luke Skywalker?
No, this is something.
The third? The first? You know what my favorite part of making this cake was? Dirtying him up.
Yeah, you dirted him.
I dirted him? So the second Star Wars cake was the porg. He's not a robot.
No.
He's like an animal. Oh, but boy is he textured. I got blisters from texturing this cake.
Yeah.
All right, so I obviously did a combination of chocolate and vanilla cake. Oh, lots of simple syrup, lots of cake to build this porg. I did not have a model. I had no model, and this was with Disney. This I took to the theater.
Where was I?
I don't know, we didn't invite you.
Why
No,
not?
I don't know, but I did. I'm gonna carve him, because the pork is kind of like, I don't know what to compare him to. It's almost like tapered at the top, a little bit fatter, and then tapered again, but long, not like a sphere. Oh, I made his head out of Rice Krispies, as I should have. They're a little less tasty than Rice Krispie squares because I leave out the butter, because I just need it to be really nice and sturdy and really compressed. There's a lot of novelty cakes. You don't have the choice. You're gonna use sculpting Rice Krispies. Now, a lot of times when I make cakes like this, I'll do the head separate and then the body. But with the porg, even though he has a head, he doesn't have a really defined neck, if you know what I'm saying. So that's why I chose to put the head on at this point and decorate him as one. Look at how I paused.
What is the story of Star Wars? Tell us that.
They live on some kind of planet. There's a bad person they're trying to beat. I think it's
Who's the bad person?
Darth Vader.
Okay.
We're not quite sure why he dislikes Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker and everyone, but he does. Robots help them, Chewbacca helps them, Yoda is filled with knowledge for some reason.
So you've seen them?
I've seen the originals when I was small because these movies are as old as I am. So the porg, like any animal, has like a belly. So I covered it with white. I had a homemade template, and then I had to, do I texture it right now? Oh my gosh. So
Piece by piece?
Yeah, I used a veining tool. And see what I mean? We're watching, what, 30 seconds, and it looks like it's fast. This takes a long time. I had the idea at this point because the veining tool adds texture, but it's still flat. And technically, if you're furry, it would not be flat. So I had a brand new pair of sterile manicure scissors because they're sharp, but they're small. And then the blades are curved, so it's perfect for cutting fondant. And another tip is, so that they don't get sticky, you can gently rub or use a brush so you don't cut yourself, brush on a little bit of shortening onto the blades, and that will stop the fondant from sticking to it.
You should have just made a cooked version. That would be funny.
Cooked?
Because they catch these things and eat them.
I'm sorry, what?
They eat the porks. They're like chickens.
So I should have done like a roasted turkey porg.
Yeah.
That would have been way easier.
Okay, another question.
Okay, let's go.
This one, I don't even know what it's talking about, so I'll make multiple questions.
Choice, okay.
What is the name of General Grievous's flagship? I need to make these up.
Oh boy.
Phantom Arm. Power Leg. And Invisible Hand.
Invisible hand.
Yes.
Or on power leg. Power leg. That sounds like a workout. Oh, the claws. Or the feet. They look like wieners at this point. Like little hot dog wieners. You know the little cocktail wieners? What is that?
Oh, it has this like patches for.
Oh, let me guess, I have to texture it? Yeah. Yes, I cut him at a theater. And I ate it at a theater. And I left him there. Just left him in the theater. What am I doing? For those of you that are still here, thank you. If you're watching in 2023 and you've been watching since 2015, thank you. I'm slowly coming back. Thank you. Oh no. So let's just skip through this. Blah, blah, blah. There's cake. I simple syruped it. I filled it with buttercream. I sculpted. You guys know what I do, right? This was so difficult. I remember, I think I went to Party City and bought the mask. Oh, I'm making the underneath because they wear helmets. So I'm covering the bottom black to suggest emptiness. You know what I mean? Like my heart while making these cakes. Emptiness. Next time I do a Star Wars cake, you know what I'm gonna make? A star. That's it. I'm gonna make the logo. That's what I'm gonna make. So I built the whole underneath and then draped over.
I think this is the toughest one.
They're all tough for different reasons.
I think the other two are just like
Tedious.
tedious.
Yeah, this one was tough. This was the most difficult one, just figuring it out. Like at this point, why don't I just cake like a motherboard? Why don't I just go for it?
Motherboard?
I don't want to do, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. It's like I'm making a carburetor. What is this? Oh, I'm done. And then I tried to feed the stormtrooper a piece of its own head. Wonderful. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna go like get a massage or to see a therapist, and I will be back next week. I gotta get this force out of me, and I will see you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.